It's May 1st, so that means it is time for another Reptile Room tour. There has been several changes since you guys have last been here, and addressing these things over here, we're waging a war against the fungus gnats. So stick around, we'll check out all of your favorites, including Totoka behind me, as well as feeding the Geomyda spangleri, and much more. I also want to thank UBBot for sponsoring today's video, but more on that later in the video. Let's get started with Totoka right behind me. Before we start going into the 75 plus reptiles that we have in the reptile room, I wanted to let you guys know that this is not an advertisement for buying a whole bunch of reptiles. Myself, along with my girlfriend Bree, run a business as well as basically full-time reptile room here. We're always in here working on our free time, and it's not something that I'm advocating you go buy a whole bunch of animals. Don't mistake the title or the fact that we have a bunch of reptiles. We take the best care we possibly can of all of them, and I hope that is evident by all the enclosures that you're about to see. Now we can get started behind me with Totoka, the Fijian banded iguana. He is absolutely stunning, and he's enjoying a quick bite to eat right now. If you guys do not know, this is a CITES animal. They are legal to own in Canada. Unfortunately, they are illegal to own in the USA. So for those of you in the States, I hope you're slightly jealous. And those of you in Canada, if you're interested, there are several sellers of these around with legally imported specimens. I mean, how can you not want something like that? Look how gorgeous they are. These truly are the perfect iguana in my eyes. They are super easy to handle. They're typically not all that aggressive. Totoka here is actually super chill. He was actually in his massive upgrade of a tank. Fortunately, as you guys can see, we have seemed to defeat the fungus gnats in here. However, we just realized that there are actually a bunch of thrips on the pothos and just throughout the tank. So now we have to combat those. I don't know how long it's going to be until he's in here, but we are putting him in here for a couple hours every day just to get him used to it. And so far it's working like a charm. He was sitting in here for most of the day today, so I cannot wait to get him in here, and he looks tiny in this large enclosure. And over here, he's not quite as tiny. He's in a 36 by 18 by 24 Exoterra and is definitely in need of his upgrade. We actually just got approval from Bree's parents to build him a nice large outdoor enclosure that will house both him and Sheldon, the Hermann's tortoise. He's down here. He's munching away. I'll give you guys an update on Sheldon fairly soon. That's Totoka, the Fijian banded iguana. Absolutely stunning, and I'd highly recommend as a beginner iguana, and if you're in Canada, because if you're not, then it really doesn't matter what I recommend. Now down here, we have the Geomyda spangleri, and I did tell you that we were going to feed these guys at the beginning of the video, and I intend to keep that promise. Grab these boys. Just a couple night crawlers for them. Okay, I'll try the female. There we go. Look at that. Immediately straight to action. Geomyda spangleri, Vietnamese black-breasted leaf turtle. Look at her go, just powering it back. Stunning, stunning species of turtle, and honestly, one of my favorites. They don't require a huge area, so that's very nice. Dude, why are you being so weird? Do you want this? Wait. It's like, wait, is that food? No way. There he goes. No, keep it in there, please. Do not run away with it. They love to run away with them. How are you going? Oh, you're almost done. You're basically finished yours already. How? That's a pretty good sized meal for them. Absolutely fantastic. Are you done already? No, you're not. Okay. Whew. It's like, how did I miss that? Look at them. I don't even have, like, true names for these guys. I called him Drax for the longest time. But, I guess I've never really named them, which is kind of crazy. I've had them for years. Yep, done. Bam. Just like that. A great meal for the Geomitis spangleri. Now, if you guys are familiar with my videos, this is a 4-foot long tank by 2 foot by 12 inches. So each footprint that the turtles get is 2 by 2 by 12. And unfortunately, today when we were going through cleaning the tadpoles, again, we found a ton of thrips. And turns out that the pothos that they had in their respective enclosures also had thrips. Bree went through their substrate and basically pulled all the plants out. We put in some fake foliage for right now, unfortunately, as much as I hate it. But what we have in here are some large springtails, and that's what I don't want to lose. I really enjoy having the springtails in here, and they're large silver springtails, I think they're called. So what we're going to end up doing is culturing them and then ripping out all of the substrate, because the thrip eggs and thrip larvae will be in the substrate and will need to be removed. But I did just realize that he has some worm left. Oh. You're quicker than I am. But that is the Geomitis spangleri. Both of them are doing fantastic. And if you guys have any name suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. Down here we have Indy, Bree's Northern Blue-tongued Skink, Toliqua Skinkoides intermedia. This is Indy. Indy is fantastic. And if you guys didn't know, these guys will be illegal to import and export. They will be moved to CITES 3. They will be much more challenging to import and export. So if you guys are interested in a video about that, let me know in the comments down below. I do plan to make one, whether you want it or not, just to inform those of you who care. Beautiful, beautiful skink. Doing fantastic. Still waiting on us to finish redoing this. Basically, we have another 4x2x2 tank that will be taking this one's place. We might repair it. We might just ditch it. I'm not really sure what to do with this tank. I mean, it's kind of a shame to throw away a 4x2x2 enclosure. If it's easy enough to just unscrew a couple screws and re-screw another board on the bottom, that is what I intend to do. If you guys have no idea what I'm talking about, this was basically Indy's old enclosure. The bottom started rotting out. So what we ended up doing is moving him down here so he can chill in a nice, not rotted enclosure that holds water. So we can actually dump water in there when he needs. We do so about once every 2 weeks just to kind of get him rehydrated. And it seems to work fairly well. And now coming up and around here, we have the beautiful Crusiohyla craspidopus tadpoles, which will eventually morph out to look exactly like these guys down here. That one there. And the adults are just over here. That's what they look like as adults. They're an absolutely stunning frog, although not the easiest to take care of and maintain, but the tadpoles are doing great, and I have some footage of them eating, so let's check that out. I did want to move over to the large column style tank. This is the 24-18 by 36 inch tall. This is one of those tanks that I will end up breaking down in the fairly near future, I suppose. This will be the end Crusiohyla tank for all the Crusiohyla craspidopus that I have just showed you. Yeah, I have a lot of plans with this. Unfortunately, I will be removing all the plants and whatnot, and then ripping out the background and redoing it completely. I know it is a nice tank and it is functioning fairly well, but it is just not quite what I need for the Crusiohyla. And speaking of what I need for the Crusiohyla, let's talk about today's sponsor, UbiBot. This is the UbiBot WS1 Wi-Fi temperature monitor. This device sets itself apart from the rest of the competition because it has a wonderful ambient light sensor, as well as it monitors temperature and the humidity. There is also an external probe for the harsher environments. Beyond that, this device offers a beautifully simplistic app, and setup only took a couple minutes. If you guys are interested in picking this up for yourself, you can click the affiliate link in the description where you will save 5% off at checkout. You help support me, you save money. What could go wrong? Now, as of the time of posting this video, there is a large sale on their website, so I encourage you to click the link in the description, check it out for yourselves, and just browse through all the insane products that they have. They have everything from greenhouse bundles that are perfect for monitoring our plant addictions, as well as motion sensors that can be used around your house. They offer a ton of different things. And me personally, I will be using one of these in our incubator because that is crucial for understanding what is happening in the incubator. I can get notifications on both my phone, email, and text if the incubator goes out of the range that we are looking for. Given the amount of eggs that we are incubating this year, I can't argue with the price. That is relatively cheap insurance for our reptiles and our hatch season this year. Having that access to always know what the temperatures are in your enclosures, your basement, your incubators, your whatever you need to know the temperatures of is priceless. So it'd be much appreciated if you guys go check it out. I want to thank you, Bebop, for sponsoring today's video, and let's move over to this rack over here. Normally I do these at the end of the video, so I feel like most of you guys don't see them, but these two right here house a bunch of our animals. So let's go into it. We did just feed everybody in the room, so a bunch of them are actually getting some food. These are our baby Eurydactylodes occidentalis. We have a 1.1 in here. I believe these are actually our holdbacks. We have another one. You can see kind of chilling at the bin there. And then over here, we have Eurydactylodes symmetricus. These guys are nuts in comparison to the other species of Eurydactylodes. Really, really cool species. I'm so happy we get to work with these. Bree introduced me to Eurydactylodes when I first met her, and I have fallen in love. They are so cute, so cool, and such a pleasure to work with. Now, we have all the species of Eurydactylodes except agricolae, which are like the most common one. It's not their rarity that kind of detracts us from them. It's just Bree doesn't like their scalation, so we don't work with them. That's as simple as the explanation gets. Unfortunately, they are not out right now. I did just check, but these are the Geckoella nebulosus. Moving down to the shelf below him under the UVB, we have Lark. He's our very first, well, technically he's the second one to hatch, but he's our first clutch of Chahoua ever. We ended up holding him back because he's actually a surprisingly white-collared individual, especially compared to what his parents were. Yeah, can't complain about that. He's doing fantastic, eating like a beast and growing an insane amount. And then down here, it's going to be tough to get them on camera. Down here in the tub, this is our grow-out froglets for the Amirga basileri sisa. There's, I believe, 7 or 8 of them in here. They're all doing fantastic, eating very well, growing really well. If you're in Canada and you're looking for some Amirga basileri sisa or just some good beginner dart frogs, let me know. We will have these guys available. If you guys aren't all that experienced, I will raise them up a little bit more, but if you guys are experienced froggers, these guys are ready to go, or at least will be probably in the next week or two. So definitely get in contact with me, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I guess. I'll be happy to get some of these guys out to you. You guys can see some of the plants in here. There's actually a lot of rare plants in this bin as well. Very neat setup for them. Happy they're doing well in it, that's for sure. And in this rack over here, it is mostly empty at the moment, or at least comparatively. Last year we had like 30-something hognose babies in here, so it was quite hectic. We do still have a couple remaining. They are not for sale, they are on reserve after we have seen some promising things as to what happened with Rowan. If you're interested in knowing, go check out the video in the top right-hand corner of your screen, as well as linked in the description. But in here, I will go through and we will play popcorn with the Savu. You're actually out. Wow. I don't want to upset him too much. Look at that ontogenetic color change that's occurring right now. He is looking very freckly. He's growing quite rapidly, so Bree and I actually have plans to set up his new tank this weekend. As you guys are seeing this, unfortunately, this is being filmed on Friday. You guys won't know exactly what happens all the way up to the end of April. This is the Savu. I still don't have a name for him either, so if you have any cool names for some very cool pythons, let me know. I would be happy to entertain your, I guess, suggestion. He's about to be spicy. You can see it in his eyes. And he can definitely bite me from here. Like, on camera, it looks like I'm a decent bit away, but I'm just at the edge of his bin, basically, and he can definitely tag me from there. I'm just going to close him before he gets too upsetty-forgetty. and go about the rest of the rack here. In these two bins, we have Lamprepeltis alterna, otherwise known as the gray-banded kingsnake. As I've mentioned in other videos, Bria is definitely a fan of picking very clean-looking gray bands, so you'll notice that pretty much every single one of them is very clean and has very little like black spotting or anything like that going on. Gorgeous creatures that I'm very excited to produce one day, but this year is not that year, unfortunately. This is the male gray band in here. He's just chilling in his little PVC tube, so it won't bug him. And in here, we have Sedona, which is my Lamprepeltis pyromelana wooden eye. She just shed, so she's looking pretty darn good. So clean, lots of black. I really like that in the wooden eyes. They have a lot more black striping and black coloration than the other localities, or I think maybe now they're even species of Kingsnake. Yeah, wooden eye are definitely the top of that list for me, and you will see my very first snake ever actually was Lamprepeltis pyromelana wooden eye. I'll skip a few on the list just to show you him. He's actually looking like poop right now. He's probably about to shed. His eyes aren't blue, but his coloration tells me he's about to shed. This is Saguaro. This is my very first snake ever. He's about 1.5 to 2 years old at this point. An absolutely stunning creature that I'm very happy to have and produce at some point in the future. Obviously, we have to wait for Sedona to be of size, so can't get too excited just yet. But moving back up here, we have Horizon, which is the sunburst hognose snake. They are a sable as well as an albino. You can see Horizon right here. She's doing fantastic. Obviously smeared some poop on her back wall, so that's annoying, but I mean, that'll be cleaned up shortly. Absolutely stunning snake. Probably one of my favorite hognose morphs that I've seen besides Mai Tai. Those would have to take the cake for me, but she is gorgeous, and she's just getting more color with age. Like the intensity around her spots gets darker and darker with each shed. So I am thrilled to see what she looks like as an adult, and I know Bree is as well. I've mentioned it several times before in videos, but Bree really is the hognose person here. I love hognoses, but Bree does put in pretty much all the work with them. I basically clean them occasionally, feed them occasionally, and make these videos where I hopefully don't get eaten by the pencil. As you guys can see, this is Pencil. He is always a pain because he is always hungry and always ravenous for food. We have to be careful when we open his bin because he has latched onto Bree before. Thankfully, she didn't have any reaction or anything. But yeah, you always got to be on high alert because hognoses aren't known for being all that accurate, and they just kind of open their mouths and charge at you. He's a goofball. If you guys are wondering and you haven't been around for all that long, he got his name Pencil because when he hatched, he wasn't quite all there. He was very stiff and he was kind of late to hatch, so we're worried about him. But turns out he's our biggest eater and is doing fantastic. Also is one of the nicest anaconda hognoses I've ever seen, and I think I can speak for Bree in saying that she agrees as well. Pencil, please, sir. Can you enter your bin one more time? Thank you. There are a few more hognose babies in here, but they are pretty much all sold, so I'm not going to bother showing you guys them right now. In here, we have a beautiful species of gecko that probably won't be easy for you guys to see because they're annoying like that. There we go. These guys are an Australian species of gecko. These are Diplodactylus galeatus, otherwise affectionately known, and as we call them, the jelly bean geckos, for no other reasons than they are very small. I don't think you guys can tell how small they are, but yeah, you guys can see my finger next to it. Like, very small species of gecko, very squishy, and a very cool species of gecko. Again, these guys are on that ban list for CITES, so again, another reason you guys need to watch the video that I'll be coming out with soon, because it is a lot of species that are affected by it. I hope you guys enjoyed him, And if you guys want to know more about them, I will make more videos about them. But you guys just got to let me know in the comments down below, I suppose. Now, blasting through this rack here, we have Scoria, who is Bree's very first gray-banded Kingsnake. You guys can see she's kind of hungry. But Scoria is a gorgeous individual. Right there is the only flaw that she has. She has stayed a stunning example of a gray band. Like I said, it's literally just that one splotch that is kind of off-colored. She did just shed, so she's looking pretty solid. She is doing fantastic. She is growing a ton and is a very cool snake. Cannot wait to have her producing. Like I've said for everything else pretty much in this rack, that's years down the road. Don't get too excited, but they will be coming in the near future, so why don't we move on to Lux. Oh. He's a little danger noodle. That is Lux. He is the father to all of the clutches that we have had so far. He's in blue, so I'm not going to bug him too much, but that's Lux. I've featured him on several videos, so just please go check those out. Down here, we have Rorschach, who, of course, is not where I thought he would be. There he is. He's about to shed. He's deep in blue, so he's chilling in his humid hide. He is the sire to one of the clutches so far this year. And in here we have Striker, the OG Strikezilla. He was just munching on some superworms, so there's some superworm guts kind of spread around his enclosure, but Striker's doing fantastic. I don't want to bug him too much here. He's doing a lot better than he was, and I'm very happy I moved him into this bin. He's been gaining weight. He has about the same mobility in his back legs as he did before, but he's getting around much easier, so he actually uses his worm dish. I'm thrilled with that result. I really thought I might lose him, but if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, I'll leave a link on the cards up above, as well as in the description down below. There you guys go. You can kind of see him walking little bit using his back legs. It's so good to see. He's me. Oh, he's like, no, let me go. All right. Well, that'll be enough to get his hide back. So there we are. That is Striker, the OG, the 18-year-old leopard gecko that I've owned since I was 8 years old. Now we can move from the rack that you guys saw behind me to the rest of the room, the bioactive room, I suppose you could call it. Right behind me here are my Uromastyx, Hugo and Olga. It is getting kind of late tonight. I did end up putting some salad in there, and it looks like they had a little bit, but unfortunately I think they are both hiding under their little rocks there, so that is unfortunate, to be totally honest. They are living in a 4-foot by 2-foot by 16-inch tall enclosure, and they will be getting a remodel-ish. Whenever we clean this out, we're going to take all their rocks out, clean them off, put in new substrate, and we might upgrade them as well. I haven't quite decided. They're doing very well in here, and I would like them to lay eggs in here because this is where they were laying eggs before. So I don't want to change it up too much on them. But again, who knows? It's all it's all a question of time. Up here we have all my peppers. I don't want to bore you all too much, but I'm starting a bunch of peppers this year to make my own custom hot sauces, so heck yeah. And moving down to the very bottom, again, it's super late, so he's not out, but the yellow Ackie monitor Vulcan is, yeah, nowhere to be found, unfortunately. He's in a 4x2x2 or 120-gallon enclosure, and he's doing fantastic. The only thing is of course, it's late at night, and he's not out, so that sucks. But if you guys are interested and really want to see him, you guys can see him in most of the other Reptile Room tours. That's why I like doing them every month, because there's some animals that are out, there are some that are not, so you guys get a variety each and every Reptile Room tour. And speaking of variety, let's go to this rack here. This is the 12x18 rack. And I think this time we're going to change it up a little. We're going to start with the bottom. So the bottom, that's just a plant bin. That's why it looks like crap, because there's nothing inside it. We moved Cardinal over here into a large enclosure. So you guys will see that soon. And Sheldon actually got a beak trim. I ended up bringing Sheldon to a very good friend of mine and also happens to be a vet, so that is Dr. Alec Brown. Can't complain. He trimmed Sheldon's beak. I'm just going to try and throw my camera in here. Didn't trim it a lot, but it was enough to get it back to kind of normal length. And he was worried that he was going to hurt his bottom jaw, so he didn't grind it down too low. But it looks much better. In that tank that I was mentioning at the very beginning of the video, outside the catio that we're going to be setting up for him, there will be some large rocks in the base, so he'll be able to grind down both his nails as well as his beak, hopefully naturally, and will go back to being kind of a healthy, normal length. He is still in his bin, unfortunately. That's just the way it is for right now. Eventually, we will make him a much larger enclosure. Now that we have the go-ahead to make him a large outdoor enclosure, I think what we're going to do is shrink his inside enclosure because he'll only be in here for either nights or just over winter. And he won't need a massive enclosure in here. So we're thinking probably from the edge of the rack to about 18 inches away from that wall. So it'll be around 4.5 to 5 feet long, 2 feet deep, and as many inches high as we need to keep him inside. That is Sheldon. He's living his best life, and we're gonna start bringing him outside to enjoy some of the sunlight very soon. He won't have his enclosure, but he can come walk around the yard and enjoy the beautiful Ontario weather. Now, moving up from Sheldon, we have our beautiful Eurydactylodes peguensis zebrachus. I can't remember their common name, but I'll have it on screen for you guys. Boop. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, this backfired. Okay. Hi. I mean, that's a good shot of you. You're beautiful. Just not exactly what I intended to happen when I booped you. You weren't supposed to climb on me, but yeah. Now returning to his humble abode down here, unfortunately. But you guys saw a good video of him. They are a very cool species of gecko that I do fully intend to make like a care video on at some point. We do hope to get a second one later down the road. When you have a rare species of gecko like that, you kind of just have to go for it and bite the bullet because it's not all the time that they are around. And in those cases, you just have to make the best of it and hope that you can produce them. I mean, look at that little cute face. So cute. That is the Eurydactylodes. In here, we have mourning geckos. We actually ended up selling off pretty much all of our normal mourning geckos, and now we have some beautiful Hawaiian mourning geckos. Unfortunately, they are very challenging to find, and they hide in this enclosure super, super well, like better than any other gecko that we've ever had. So I can't really show you them, but we do have one normal baby mourning gecko still in here. She kind of runs the shop. This iteration of the mourning gecko tank is probably like, what, its third or fourth since you guys have seen it from the very beginning. It will need to be replaced because it does have the old school top to it, and I would like to be able to replace that at some point. So somewhere down the line, I'll get to building another mourning gecko enclosure, but it's really not a huge priority right now. I can't wait for the adult mourning geckos to start laying eggs and for those to start breeding because the Hawaiian mourning geckos are just simply stunning, and I can't wait to share them with you. Now, these guys, the Crusiohylicraspidopus. I've kind of already showed them off. We do have several offspring that are doing very well. This one here does have some MBD, as you can see by its back legs, kind of all funkied out. But that one is still doing very well. This one down here, again, another one that's doing quite well. This one on the leaf is losing a little bit of weight. We are monitoring it, but I think we're just going to increase the feedings and hope that it does well. If not, we will separate it and keep it in a sterile bin just to ensure that it does recover. We did kind of reset up this tank recently, I suppose. I don't remember if it was in the last month or not. Got a large pond of water in there. They do go in there fairly frequently. It is very useful for when the tadpoles here are getting close to morphing out. We can just kind of toss them into this little pond down here and they'll be able to climb right out when they have all of their legs and are ready to do so. By that time, I'm kind of hoping to have most of these guys out and into either another enclosure or in with the adults, because I just don't want to run the risk of them going through and kind of attacking anything or bullying the new morph outs, because that's not what we're looking for. I will just show you the final one back here, chilling on that leaf, just vibing, doing very, very well. Next to them is Rune. She is a beautiful female Chahoua who is ready to drop some eggs. You can see how rotund she is. Just about to lay some eggs. Chahoua really truly are one of my favorite geckos. I know their price tag is higher than crested geckos, but I truly do believe that with the right care, meaning a proper diet, a lot more protein, a lot more calcium, and some time dedication to researching that before you buy them, I think they make a better pet than a crested gecko, just in my humble opinion. I've owned both for many years. These guys beat them bar none. You can find cheap mainland Chahuas. These guys are not so cheap Pine Isle Chahuas, so I mean, you definitely don't have to start with like an $800 to $1,000 plus gecko. There are some breeders in the States who sell Chahoua for like 25, 30 grand, like insane numbers that you would never expect to hear when it comes to a gecko. But she is obviously of age, so we have a special project for her that we're going to be trying to fulfill next laying season. I don't know if you guys will ever hear about that project. It is slightly controversial, and maybe some of you guys can guess in the comments down below. I'm going to go a little bit hush-hush for now, and of course show off Jigsaw, who is right next to Rune, and who will likely be Rune's pair. He is stunning. Look at those colors. He's so red and peachy and just stunning. Can't go wrong with a beautiful Chahoua. That is Jigsaw. We'll move away from him. I don't want to spend too much time on everything because we still have a lot left to go. In here we have my hopeful pair of Ufagapumilio Bastimentos. I don't know if they are actually a pair. It's been a little while since I've had them in here and I haven't heard any calling or anything, but the probable male is a little bit younger than the female, so I'm not too worried. They are in fact out. That is one of them. There are two, like I said, in here. She's probably just packing in those last few fruit flies that are putzing around here right before the lights go out. But I'm pretty happy with how their tank looks. Obviously, I would like to upgrade them into something slightly bigger. These 12x18s are a little bit small in my opinion, although they do work fairly well normally. I would like to have a little bit larger of an enclosure, put some cooler plants in there, and just enjoy them a little bit more. But that's just me personally. That will be a quest for the future. Right now it's just getting them settled and getting them producing, hopefully. You can see some beautiful Peperonia amarginella growing off the wall there. There's a bunch of different Margravias. If you guys are interested in the setup of this tank, I'll leave a link up top here, as well as in the description down below. You guys can go check that out. And now moving all the way up, we have the Eurydactylodes section of this video. The Eurydactylodes are one of the best beginner geckos in my opinion. They are like a crested gecko, but do not jump, they're not crazy, and they stay a lot smaller, so they're easier to house as well as feed. These guys are the Eurydactylodes occidentalis. So they're slightly different than the Vieillard who you see right next door. They just have some different scalation on their head. Virtually the same care. You can see, literally, we keep one here, one here, the exact same setup. Speaking of the Vieillard, we have a trio in this 12x18. That's for breeding purposes. If I was just keeping these as pets, I would probably only do a pair, if that, in a 12x18. But these are the two females. They just laid eggs, so they got some hip bones showing, and I'm sure they're eyeing up that Pangea down there. These guys are starting to produce, and we hope to have babies ready and available kind of mid to late summer. Get in contact with us if you're interested. And moving on next to the Eurydactylodes, we have my two holdback female Pachydermus smaragdinus. They are so fast, especially these like juveniles. Insanely fast. They're in a 12x18 as well. They're doing great in here. I'm raising them together and I will end up selling one of them. I do have a buyer already, but we do have a bunch of eggs already from them in the incubator. And if you guys are looking for these, I can export to the States. Let me know. I do have a wait list, so feel free to join it. Alrighty, and immediately next to them, we have the Strophrus ciliaris. These guys are a beautiful species of gecko from kind of northern central Australia. These guys are known as the northern spiny-tailed gecko, and because I don't know, I guess because they live kind of northern, but you guys can see they live pretty much all throughout Australia. I don't know if northern is necessarily the best term for it, but here we are. Common names, am I right? These guys are one of, again, my favorite geckos in the room because they're so lively, they're so crazy, they're always up for hunting. I'm sure she'd be willing to latch onto my finger, and I know she will, so I'm not gonna bother, not that it would hurt. Bree loves them. Bree was the one who introduced me to them. Bree is 100% right. These guys are incredible. And speaking of Ciliaris, we do have another little Ciliaris down here. This was our first baby we ever hatched, and our only baby we've ever hatched currently. He's chilling in this 8x12 Exoterra, doing very well, growing a lot, and I think he's available. I'm not sure though. Next to them is, once again, sticking to the same continent of Australia. These guys are Leucasium damium, otherwise known as, I believe, the beaded gecko. They are a beautiful species of gecko. Just absolutely stunning. You can see they leave their pajamas everywhere. I just cleaned their tank and one of them must have shed, deciding to leave it in the middle of the enclosure, of course. But you guys can see they're very small, personable little geckos that I actually love in a display. I wasn't sure how good they'd look in a display, thinking that they are nocturnal and they would only come out at night, but they're hilarious. They sleep like they're dead, so that does terrify me every now and then. Overall, they make a great display animal because you walk by and immediately they just perk up and are like, hi! They're always hunting. They're like some of the worst hunters I've ever seen in the gecko world. These guys, again, are another species that got wrecked by the CITES 3 push. So if you guys want them, now is the time to get them if you are looking to ship them across the border. So now we have finished off this large, I believe it's a 6-foot rack. And now we can move over to this large 6-foot rack, housing mostly 18x24s, but up top here we have two 12x18s that are occupied, housing two Chahoua that have been sold. They're just waiting to be shipped out. So I'm not going to bother going into these guys. In here, we have Boega nidriceps. These guys are the black-headed cat snake. You guys can see he's about to shed, so he looks like crap. Normally, they have a nice dark green to blackish looking head, and he is a very dark kind of maroon color. Right now, he just looks almost white/blue. Unfortunately. The female in here is a gorgeous clay-like red. This is their enclosure. We do have a very large enclosure set out for them in the near future. It's just kind of shifting things around, playing Tetris with the tanks that we currently have until that one will be ready for them and actually like able to be set up, but we do have it, and just know that they will be getting upgraded. That is Mephisto and Calamity, the beautiful Boega nidriceps. And here right next to them, we have our pair of Chahoua. These guys are taking up the role of having a few thrips on that pothos that she is sitting behind. Whatever, it is what it is, I suppose. A constant fight against thrips. I do make an order pretty much every month of the parasitic mites that kill off the thrips, as well as some beetles that use them as a food source. Enough about thrips and pests. Let's talk about the Chahoua. These are two Chahoua, absolutely stunning pine isles that came from a local breeder here. I've been staring at him this whole time. He is very gorgeous right now. He's totally fired up. She's looking super dark with some kind of blush cheeks on him. Can't complain about that. Know what I mean? That is the two Chahoua. One of the best reptiles out there. Seriously underrated. Especially in this YouTube community, the Chahoua are really, really underrated. So I'm trying to bump their popularity a bit. Another reptile that is extremely underrated is these guys. These are the adult Tachydromus smaragdinus. You guys can see the male and the female. Well, one of the females, both chilling right there. Just vibing, like living their best life. You can see the sexual dichromatism between the two. The male has the brown stripe down his laterals, while the females do not. You guys can very clearly see that. They aren't quite as sociable as like the emerald tree skinks or some other green lizards, I suppose. But really, truly, these guys have my heart. If you guys haven't seen my Emerald Dragon series on my channel, I'll leave a link to the playlist on the screen right now. You guys can go check it out. It is fantastic. These are one of the coolest species in the entire room that I own. They lay eggs like crazy. They're ravenous little creatures. You just can't beat them. I'm sorry, you can't. The beautiful Tachydromus smaragdinus. And over here, I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. We have some new additions. Tachydromus dorsalis have entered the ring. Fantastic species. I cannot wait for them to get producing. I really truly thought the female who is down here would lay some eggs, but I think it turns out she's just a little overfed, I suppose. So I'm working on slimming her down a little bit and hopefully getting her to produce. But they will be getting a much larger enclosure than this. I actually already have it here. I just need to film the few videos that I need to film, and I think those are a couple videos that you guys should be very excited for. Some new stuff hitting the reptile hobby. I am thrilled that I get to help share their message. But enough about the Tachydromus dorsalis. You guys just kind of get a sneak peek here. I'll be making a full episode about it. We can move over to the gorgeous mangrove snake, otherwise known as the Boaga melanota. I have recently found out that they have been speciated and they are now their own species, so that's super exciting. Or there's lumpers and splitters. Those of you that know what I'm talking about know what I'm talking about. These guys are clearly splitters, whoever's doing these papers, so it is what it is. Boaga gentrivila melanota. You guys can maybe see just at the very bottom there. Oh, wow, that's actually better than I expected. This is Reaper. He is a very stunning individual that we have raised from a wee little baby, and he is now probably 2.5 feet long, somewhere around there, 2 feet maybe. And he'll be going to a new home with one of my good friends, Kayla. She has a very large enclosure getting prepared for him, and will continue upgrading him into very large setups. So I know Kayla's the right choice to send them to. She does make YouTube videos, so maybe I'll leave a link in the description to her channel. You guys can go check her out. And now moving down to the hognose hallows, we have all 3 of our producing two of our producing females and one that will be bred next year. She is Callista, the AAA. She's a purple line, Arctic albino anaconda. She really doesn't pick up her coloration on camera. She is a stunning snake that I'm pretty sure the breeder kind of regrets selling for as cheap as he did, but hey, we reap the benefits, so I'm not going to complain. Right next to Callista is Rowan. What are you doing? You got a little schmutz on your nose. Can we help you out there? No? You're on your own. All right. Well, this is Rowan. I'm not going to bother her too much. I don't want to make this video too terribly long, but if you guys want to know what's going on with her and her insane color change, she is a color-changing hognose. I will leave a link, again, up here and in the description down below for you guys to check out. There's links all over this video. Who knows if I'll actually put them in or not. Next to her, we have our gorgeous girl, Equinox. She also has a little bit of a dirt stash going on, but she's about to shed, so she's chilling in her humid hide there. But these guys are in 24 by 18 by 12 exoterras, and Callista on the end here is in an 18 by 18 by 12 exoterra. Nice setups for them. They're all doing fantastic. They all have UVB, and I'm very happy with how they're producing. Our eggs are looking absolutely incredible. We have 2 clutches, 1 from each female, and they're doing great. They're due to hatch in probably about another month or so, maybe a little bit less. So end of May, we should have some little baby hognoses popping out. Also, Tachydromus eggs hatch already. Alrighty, and in here we have what is seemingly a plant bin. There are some thumbnail dart frogs in here. These guys are the Ranitomea venzolini. I swear I saw you jump into there. Where'd you go? Oh, you're making me look like a fool. Of course, they're making me look like a fool right now. They're not coming out, but I did feed them. These guys are just in kind of a grow out tub right now. We'll be doing up their tank this weekend. Again, another tank that you guys won't see built for this video, but is definitely in the works. So very lush green planted bin. Can't complain too much about that. And the frogs are doing great inside here. It's just I would really like to be able to see them because they're such gorgeous individuals that you don't want to just see a plastic bin. You want to see a beautiful display with some very cool frogs. I'm going to close this up so we don't have any run for the hills type scenario. We have the plant shelf, I suppose. This shelf is doing fantastic. It's growing very well. I do plan to do an update on the kind of plants and stuff at some point, and I always promise that it's going to be this month, but I don't know. I have a feeling it's not going to do that well, so I don't really want to make a video that's just going to bomb. I guess it's kind of worth showing off my plants, whether or not people watch it or not. I guess that's up to you guys. So show up in the in the plant tour, and you guys will see it. We already talked about the Tachydromus dorsalis. I don't want to spend any more time on them. I do want to spend a little bit of time on the adult Crusohylicraspidopus because their tank has been modified for the season. I did end up cleaning out the bottom of their tank, adding the water, and then putting the pump in. A lot of you guys were asking me where the pump is, and you can see there's some black foam right here. This black foam kind of covers the pump here. You guys can kind of see those swirling springtails. That's where the pump is, directly under that. So I'm hoping that maybe there'll be a bit of breeding action, but with that being said, I don't know. I have a confirmed pair, and I'm pretty sure to kind of figure out, I'll need to basically have like a waterfall type setup rather than just moving water like this. I kind of plan to essentially remove these few rocks, put a little bit of a waterfall pump right here, and just having it cascade this way. We'll see what I end up doing. This is just an experiment at this point. The frogs are doing great. They're really enjoying their new setup. I planted that plant in the back there. I believe it's a philodendron Hope Saloom or something like that. I certainly cannot complain about that. And I suppose one of the biggest things that's happened since you guys last saw it is the rat snake tank. This is a 109-gallon bioactive rat snake tank. This is the Oreocryptophis porphyraceus coxi, also known as the Thai bamboo rat snake. I would love to show her out right now, and hopefully I'll have some footage to overlay this so you can see her, but she is using every square inch of this tank. She used to be in a bin, has now been upgraded to this large enclosure, and is loving it. She's dipping in and out. She's making her own burrows, like you guys can see over here, like a true burrow. It's so cool. Seeing them in their natural kind of environment, I suppose, not in the wild, but just in a more naturalistic enclosure, is always refreshing to me, and I always love having that flexibility to provide a gorgeous enclosure for our reptiles. Cardinal is Brie's snake, but I was the one that really pushed hard to keep her because I really enjoy her, and I think she adds a lot to the reptile room, so I'm very glad that we did. I think Brie is as well. And that does it for the reptile room, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this large reptile room tour. I've been blabbering for like an hour and 45 minutes at this point, so who knows how long this video is going to end up being. It has been a blast talking with you all. I hope you guys enjoy these monthly updates. If you do, make sure you click that subscribe button. If you enjoy it enough to click the post notifications right next to it, that reminds you every single time I post a video, so make sure to click that. If you did enjoy this kind of video and you want to see more of it like it, maybe some more in-depth on just like Australian geckos or something like that, let me know in the comments down below. Any questions, comments, concerns, you can also voice down there. I answer every single comment. Yeah, it's a bonus for you guys. I love chatting and I love getting to know you guys in the comment section. So I'll catch you down there. We'll catch you in the next one. Later.